I just unmuted them. Yeah, that's right. Sorry, Mr. Mayor, I just unmuted Council Chamber. You're ready to go. We are live on YouTube.
All right, awesome. Just waiting for Maurice. All set. Okay, excellent. Good evening, everyone, and welcome back. We are reconvening the special meeting of the 27th from last night here this evening, held on the homelands of the Ktunaxa peoples. Before we get into the actual hearing, we have some late correspondence items that we need to receive. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Royer moves. Thank you. Councillor McBain seconds. All those in favor? That motion is carried. And finally, that the agenda of the for the June 28th reconvening be approved. Councillor Dunneback moves. Councillor Karen seconds. All those in favor? That motion is carried. All right, excellent. As I mentioned, pardon me, we are reconvening from the meeting that was held last evening in McKim. To start out the evening, I will go back through the formal overview of the public hearing procedure. So bear with me here for a couple of minutes. This electronic public hearing is being convened pursuant to Section 464 of the Local Government Act in order to consider the proposed bylaws 2732 and 2733. We will be hearing submissions by telephone or in writing only. If anyone is listening via the YouTube stream that would like to share their comments on these bylaws, please call in now, and that number to call is 800-741-7180, and when prompted, enter the meeting number or access code 2770-259-5729. When asked for passwords, simply enter the pound or the hashtag symbol. Once you're connected, you will be able to hear the meeting, but will be muted on hold until it is your turn to speak. If you are listening to the live stream while on the phone, please make sure you mute or turn off the volume down on the live stream to avoid causing audio feedback. You may let us know you would like to speak by entering *3 on your phone, which basically allows you to, or is equivalent of raising your hand, and you will know when it's your turn to speak when you hear your microphone has been unmuted. We ask everyone for some patience during the hearing. We will be moving slowly to allow ample time for switching between speakers and to ensure that the technology that we're using this evening works as it is supposed to. You will know, I beg your pardon, there is a minor delay between the live stream and the telephone audio, so please make note of that. Any person who believes their interest in property is affected by the proposed bylaws will be given an opportunity to be heard. No one will be or should feel discouraged or prevented from making their views known. Members of council may ask questions during your presentation if there is a requirement for clarification, in other words, understanding more clearly what it is you've been saying. However, the main function of council members at this hearing is to listen to the comments presented and not debate the merits of the proposed bylaw or any comments presented. You will be given 3 minutes for your presentation, and I will call for presentations 3 times before closing the hearing. Once the public hearing is closed, members of council cannot take any further input regarding the proposed amending bylaw. After this public hearing has concluded, council may, without further notice, give whatever effect council believes proper to the representations made at this hearing. Thanks for your cooperation. Let's have another great hearing, rest of the hearing this evening. So we'll start with a brief overview of the bylaw and then call for submissions from those on the phone. Troy, would you like to give us the overview, please?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council is considering an amendment to official community plan bylaw number 2600 and zoning bylaw number 1850, affecting the properties located at 1006 304th Street and 361 315th Avenue in Marysville. Proposed bylaw number 2732 would amend the property's official community plan land use designation from industrial to commercial, and bylaw number 2733 would rezone the properties from industrial, wholesale, and transportation M1 zone to the proposed commercial service CS1 zone. The amendments are proposed to accommodate a highway commercial retail center that includes a restaurant with drive-thru service, car wash, service station, and general retail uses.
All right, awesome. Thanks very much, Troy. Before we begin receiving the verbal submissions, we would just like to acknowledge that any and all written submissions have been, copies of all written and received submissions have been provided to council. So you'll be given 3 minutes for the presentation, and I will call for submissions a first time. So first up this evening is Laura Dixon. Go ahead, Laura.
Hello. Can you guys hear me?
You betcha.
Okay, great. Yeah, so hello, Mayor and Council and everybody else who is listening. My name is Laura Dixon. I've been a Kimberley resident since the age of 3. After high school, I left for education and adventure. I've since returned to my home. After all, it's a good place to be. I thank you for the opportunity to voice my opinion this evening. I stand with the overwhelming majority of people within this wonderful community who have spoken out to say no to the proposed rezoning in Marysville. I graduated university with an honors in urban design studies. This type of development that the proposed CS1 zone would accommodate is in no way aligned to our official community plan. The proposed CS1 zone encourages a development that is a dinosaur in the planning world. If you do any reading into city planning, this type of vehicle-focused development is strongly discouraged. Many existing communities are trying to remedy past developments such as this into more multi-use pedestrian-focused spaces. Kimberley has amazing potential to encourage innovative and creative businesses to come join our community and utilize this industrial space. Instead of considering a proposal like this rezoning that is extremely short-sighted, what would be beneficial is to focus our energies on a master plan for this industrial area. A well-thought-out, long-term plan to attract and draw in beneficial industry that will support our official community plan and further expand on Kimberley's unique charm. I strongly support our city planning team, who is encouraging the council to say no to this proposed rezoning. They are professionals, highly educated in this department, and have presented a strong case. I encourage everyone to read their documents that they presented to council. To add, last night's public hearing added a volume of well-researched, intelligent, and educated platforms to further expand on why this proposed rezoning is not compatible with Kimberley. We are here making an effort to have our voices heard. We elected you to listen to the individuals, to listen to the professionals. I implore you to not take any bias into this decision. I implore you to not make any assumptions into the population that is silent. I implore you to be objective. Thank you for investing your efforts into this community to be our elected officials, and thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Laura.
Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, no problem. Okay, next up is Scott Shuttleworth. Go ahead, Scott.
Hello, Mayor and Council, Scott Shuttleworth here. Is that coming through okay?
Yeah, you bet. Yeah, go right ahead.
Yep. Hello, Mayor and Council. Thank you for taking my call. I'll try and make this as succinct as possible. So I put forward a letter to Council, and my objections to this proposal all centered around zoning, the zoning aspect of the amendment. I want to make clear this is a zoning decision and not so much in deciding who can and can't run a business in town. So one aspect of it that I focused on was a change of use to allow for one other things, a service station or gas station here in the town. From my letter to Council, the report that I quoted from the Council Internal Planning Department was very much against such a thing. I believe we don't need any more bulk storage gas stations in town. I went as far in my letter to say to Council, why don't we propose a bylaw, no new gas stations in town? It's something I don't think we need as a community, especially focused on electric vehicles coming in the future. So I'd just be interested to hear on Council if there's any other thoughts that go against this thinking, because we had a report to Council saying this is not a good idea, it's not something we need in town. And if we're going to change this bylaw to go against that, really like to hear what the overwhelming evidence is to go against this decision. For me, this is more a systemic problem from lack of available appropriate serviced industrial land in the city already. We should not be changing a proposal to go from a commercial, getting rid of available industrial land. The compounding factor in all this, there is insufficient available industrial land due to so many contaminated lands already existing within the city that need significant remediation issues. Overwhelming, I think there's been insignificant investment in available service industrial land to meet the community needs. And this is not best dealt by with a change in zoning proposal. I would rather see personally that this better get used and suited to existing commercial areas. We already have facilities like these in town. And I think this proposal overall does not fit in with the green philosophy of the official community plan. That's all I got to say. So thank you for hearing my 3 minutes.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks so much, Scott. Scroll down. I can't see the. Is that Tim Chapman? Tim Chapman is next. Go ahead, Tim.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Thanks for the opportunity to speak. Yeah, I also submitted a letter, so hopefully you guys have the time to read that. I'm going to elaborate on 1 or 2 points that were made. I've lived and worked in Kimberley now for several years, and I've also employed a team of young adults in meaningful, well-paying, low barrier to entry work for the past 3 summers. Yes, I understand this is a land use decision, but changing land use designations comes with repercussions, one of which is the need to find workers, so I offer the following. Let's imagine we're all youth, ages 17 to 25, just graduated high school or post-secondary, and wanting to move to Kimberley or stay in Kimberley, maybe save for a house or go traveling. You see your mayor and council have decided to bring new jobs into town. That's great. But wait, these are jobs in the form of a drive-thru restaurant and a gas station. How am I supposed to meet my financial goals with this? How can we seriously suggest that these are the types of jobs that the young adults of our community are wanting or are in need of? In the midst of a climate crisis, an affordability crisis, and not to mention our existing businesses' struggle to find staff, please ask yourselves, are these really the types of jobs we're hoping to create and provide, especially for the youth of our community? Okay, we're still 17 to 25 years old, and now we see the council has boldly decided to back the development of, let's say, a 10,000 square foot greenhouse and hydroponic growing containers that, in addition to creating, maybe 12 to 20 well-paying jobs with opportunities for growth and personal development, they'll also provide fresh year-round produce for the community. Now, that's something that I imagine the youth of our town could get behind and would encourage them to stay in this community long-term. Not to mention all the auxiliary benefits for local climate action and local food security. How beautiful would that look driving into Marysville? Talk about a community coming up with innovative solutions to sustain itself in uncertain times. For context, this season I hired 7 youth into my field crew that pay significantly more than minimum wage and requires no prior experience. Out of 43 applications, 4 came from youth that live in Kimberley. I would also like to address the vocal minority rhetoric that's floating around. Let's look at how many individuals in town voted in the last municipal election. Less than 1,400 votes for the highest vote getter on council. How many folks wrote letters, attended meetings, engaged with council in person at the public hearings and tonight? You're telling me that that number is a minority and unrepresentative of the community as a whole? I would hazard a guess that the majority of these so-called vocal minority are also the folks that showed up to vote you in to make decisions that are reflective of our collective community values and beliefs, because we believe that you would make bold, appropriate, and forward-thinking choices for our town. To be clear, I am against the proposed rezoning.
Awesome. Thanks very much,
you.
Tim. Next up is Trevor Fedyk.
Hello, Mayor and Council.
Go ahead.
My name is Trevor Fedyk. Can you hear me?
You bet. Yep.
Hello? Okay. My name is Trevor Fedyk, and I've been a resident of Kimberley for 18 years. I phone in to give my support for the development and rezoning to commercial. I start with this. The Competition Bureau of Canada has a role, and its sole purpose is to protect and promote competitions for the benefit of Canadian consumers and business. Their statement says this: competition drives lower prices and innovation while fueling economic growth. How can petitions set up at 2 coffee shops in Marysville and gas stations in town be for the better of the community when it looks more like they're just blocking competition? If you're running a good business, have a good product, good customer service, you go there, and people will continue to go there, and people will not stop going there. But you should not be allowed to block competition. More options are always a good thing, and sometimes people are concerned with the unknown, and I understand that as a business. But you put out a good product and you have nothing to be worried about. The title of Best Small Town in BC, people did not vote Kimberley Best Small Town. There was a checkbox that said we didn't have a McDonald's. We won because it was the heart and spirit of the community that led us to win and what we have to offer. Having a McDonald's will not change that, nor will stop people living a healthy lifestyle of biking and hiking and skiing to suddenly stop outdoor recreation and just go through a drive-thru and sit on a couch and never exercise again. That's not going to change us. What does is fill a void for the hours maybe somewhere in open, where the commuters coming through, driving to and from Cranbrook or elsewhere, with an option there for them to choose. It's not meant to destroy our community or businesses. For example, the drive-through car wash, that could be $15, $20. Will that influence the other car washes where people spend $3 to $5? Maybe a little, but it's entirely a different option. I feel this development will help fuel more activity and economic growth and attract more businesses in the current industrial area. Extra tax revenue, more jobs, more options, it's all positive. I wrap this up by saying highway frontage entering a city should be zoned commercial, and that is what the mayor and councilors vote on. It's not whose name is on the business. This will help show some life in an area that is very much needed, as its current state is not pleasant to look at and is not producing any jobs. With that, I want to thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Trevor. Next up is Jack Miller. Go ahead, Jack.
Hello. Dear Mayor and Council, I would like to let you all know that I do not support the rezoning proposal because I do not see this as adding value to our town. I'm a grade 9 Selkirk student. I love living in Kimberley because I like the free lifestyle and identity of a small mountain town in comparison to the noisy sprawl of our neighbor Cranbrook. I enjoy being able to bike and walk to most places without having to worry about lots of traffic. I would like to be able to afford to buy a house here one day and would like to see the chance of a new type of industry to come to Kimberley, which offers something else other than tourism, retail, and hospitality jobs, which are mostly minimum wage and seasonal. I saw how badly affected tourism was during COVID, so I think it only makes sense to put an effort into attracting different types of industry here. It would be great to study at a university and then be able to return to Kimberley and find good jobs with good pay. Currently, there are no fields of work I am interested in here. I don't think that changing industrial land to commercial is a worthy change, and I think that any commercial interest should be directed to places and spaces that are available in Kimberley right now. The industrial site in Marysville is an opportunity to help make this town more prosperous and future-proof for young people like me. That is my vision and hope. Thank you for listening to me, and please add my note of opposition to this proposal.
Thank you very much for your comments, Jack. Next up is Chad Wilkinson. Go ahead, Chad.
Hi, thanks a lot for letting me speak today. My name's Chad. I am a 5th generation settler from the East Kootenays. My family comes from Elko. My great uncle Roy spent his entire adult life here in Marysville. My mother's family are all settlers from the Lower Tanaka area in Creston. And I just wanted to speak a little bit today about past, present, future implications about such an idea. I don't support the idea, and I want to sort of come from a lens of decolonization in the sense that this kind of attitude towards, rezoning to promote these kinds of businesses is actually unhelpful for achieving the goals that we're trying to achieve collectively. So if we look at, for example, rezoning the industrial lands that are located near Marysville, and we wanted to just compare, the main argument being put forward is that it adds aesthetic value. And because I come from the East Kootenay, from the east side, from the Elk Valley, I could say, if you look what Fernie did with their industrial planning, they actually did a really great job as you enter Fernie from the north and you see the industrial lands. It's actually quite aesthetically pleasing and it can be done well. So it's not a matter of changing the OCP to be able to do industrial planning that actually will fit within those goals. So currently we have an issue with the fact that the GM dealership closed down, and we know this is because electrification is happening and GM wasn't on board. We're going to go past GM and we're going to see a gas station that literally has 12 years a lifespan before it reaches the point in which the province, which is of course, you know, municipalities act as a creature of provincial statute, and BC has a mandate to make no vehicles that are made of it that are internal combustion engines saleable in this province after 2035. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to build a gas station when we know that in 12 years there's going to be no new market for vehicles to support that business. But we're going to contaminate that site because we're going to actually excavate into it, and we're going to create storage tanks for diesel and gas, and we're going to create a legacy contamination site in one of the few industrial lands that actually doesn't have contamination, and it's readily serviceable for light industrial, for innovative growth, and to introduce new industrial initiatives that can align us with our climate solutions and our climate goals. So I don't understand how it would make any sense to put a gas station and to actually actively contaminate a site that's going to make it challenging and expensive for future development, because we're going to put a gas station in that's going to have a 12-year lifespan and maybe a little bit longer because of the cars that will be on the road for the next maybe 10 years. But by 2050, there will be no cars that are running on gasoline, and that's not that long out. So I just wanted to make those points, and I hope that they resonate with council, because this is where we're at and this is where we're headed. You know, we're dealing with a climate emergency. We're dealing with health, a strained healthcare system, and
Thank you for your comments, Chad. Yep, the 3 minutes is up. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate the comments. Next up is Alona Hale. Go ahead, Alona.
Hi, Mayor and Council. Thanks so much for giving us the opportunity to talk about this tonight and last night. Sorry, I couldn't make it. So as a healthcare professional, obviously I've got concerns about the health effects. Apparently somebody yesterday wondered why doctors and other health people were weighing in on this. This is clearly, there's some serious health concerns associated with this proposed development that many other people have already talked about. Particularly for me is the environmental concerns of another gas station, a car wash, and a drive-through. The effects on our air, land, and water from this are problematic. There's also the social and economic impacts. People need good paying jobs in order to be healthy. And then, of course, the obvious, introducing another fast food restaurant serving highly processed food is particularly so close to areas where children and youth spend their time is another concerning part of this. And some people say, well, health isn't a municipal problem, but all levels of government have to work together to create environments that promote health using the tools that they have at their disposal, in this case, zoning and bylaws. But for me, this isn't really about McDonald's or even gas stations. What I want to focus on is the process. I think the role of government is to make decisions, sometimes tough decisions, that are in the best interest of their citizens. And to do this well, because councillors are not necessarily experts in all these areas, they have to listen to the experts. And then they need to listen to the people. And in this case, all the experts in planning, health, and business, as well as the public, they're actually unanimous in their recommendation to reject this proposal. And they also need to honor the public process that created the OCP in the first place, and listening to their planning staff who contributed to that plan, that official community plan, and recognize that they understand the concepts of how to plan a healthy future for a community using principles of smart growth rather than the alternative. This decision, the fact that this has gone as far as a formal sort of public hearing, suggests it concerns me that it's even been allowed to go this far when, again, the overwhelming majority, everybody is saying that this is a bad idea. It makes me wonder why, council is sticking to their original decision. 50 years ago, this might have been a reasonable proposal to consider at the time we were facing a certain future, but now we're a thriving community with progressive reputation, and people want to be here. We don't need to bow down to the pressures of large multinational corporations who want to profit from making our community and our residents less healthy. We have the power to decide on our own future. So I think we can and should just say no to this proposal. So I just hopefully like to ask the mayor and council to put your personal opinions, if that's what it is, aside and make the decision that'll lead to the best long-term health and well-being for our whole community. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Alona. Next up is Emily Darblade.
Hi, thank you very much for the opportunity to talk today. Just give me 1 second. Sorry, I had to give my newborn to my husband. So I'm a new resident to Kimberley. I moved here for Kimberley's lifestyle, and I was able to move here because I work remotely. It would not have been possible otherwise, as there isn't any jobs in my field in the area. I don't know if I have a lot to say in addition to what was said yesterday and to everything that was written in the letters that you received, but I want to add my voice to against this proposal. My understanding is that the current zoning creates opportunities for companies that would potentially be a lot more beneficial for the community, diversify the type of jobs available in the area, and would be a source of revenue for the city in the long term. That being said, if the City Council decides to go against most of the opinion expressed up until now and still move forward with the rezoning, I would also hope that somehow the businesses implemented would not go against the community health, as that was mentioned just before, the environment, or even the city's character and reputation. I'm hopeful that those businesses would actually benefit us. I hear that local jobs are a concern, especially jobs for students. And they put as an argument to move forward with this proposal. And especially fast food, which actually be like against the students or your youth health. What I'm thinking though is that maybe something like a grocery store co-op would be more appropriate for the area and would bring jobs, this type of job, and would allow Marysville residents to go grocery shopping in the area and not have to drive all the way to Kimberley. I've added several other points for which I'm against this proposal in my letter that you received, and so that's it for me for tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Emily. Who is...
Mr. Mayor, if you just give me a few moments here, we've got a few other callers on the line, and I'll just take a few moments to get their names for you.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Troy.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, I've just unmuted a caller with phone number ending in 4-5. Can you please say your name for us? Sorry, I'll try that again. I've just unmuted a caller with phone number ending in 4-5. Can you please say your name? We're going to try coming back to you in a moment. I've now just unmuted a caller with phone number ending in 5-1. Can you please say your name? Hello there. I've just unmuted a caller with phone number beginning with 403 and ending in 39. Can you please say your name? Caller with phone number beginning in 403, ending in 39. Can you please say your name? Okay, we'll go on to the next one. I've just unmuted a caller with phone number beginning in 905, ending in 83. Can you please say your name for us?
It's Tom Johnsson.
Thank you, Tom. What was the last name again? Sorry.
Johnsson, Johnsson. I live in Townside.
Thank you so much, Tom. I'm just going to put you back on mute for a moment and give these other callers a chance to give me their name, and then we'll come right back to you, okay? Okay, I've just unmuted a caller with phone number beginning in 250, ending in 45. Can you please say your name for us? Yes, yeah, we're speaking to you. Can you please give us your name?
Oh, Susan Nicholson. Sorry, I wasn't planning on speaking. I just am here to listen.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, and you haven't changed your mind about speaking then?
Yeah, I'll dial *3.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Susan. So it looks like those other calls have dropped off. So, Mr. Mayor, I think we can proceed with Tom Johnsson.
Hey there.
Excellent.
Yeah,
You're up, Tom. Go ahead.
Hey there. Sorry, I wasn't necessarily planning on speaking, but I think prudence is probably smart. Where, I don't know why we're thinking of taking big swings with, a fifth gas station and a third car wash or whatever the numbers are. And it's so close to that elementary school, which doesn't make sense, and it doesn't really improve the aesthetic. I don't understand how a McDonald's improves aesthetic, which doesn't really make sense to me. But my thoughts on McDonald's is that it's engineered food. So they engineer their food so that there's basically no nutrients. It's addictive. It's full of sugar. It's full of carbs. There's no nutrient value to it at all. They freeze it. They buy it somewhere else. They freeze it. They spend energy freezing it. They ship it in refrigerated trucks, which is extra energy from outside of our community. It comes into our community. They spend energy unfreezing it, cooking it, then they put it in things that people litter with, so it's just an all-around negative thing to me. They engineer their organization so that their employment is the bare minimum. So they avoid full-time, they avoid benefits. These positions, these 80 positions, which I don't even buy, are going to be not very good anyway. And they come into communities, they make these promises, they're going to help, they're going to do all this and that. 5-10 years from now, they're gone. And all I have to say, I have a degree in business. Corporations have no duty to anybody other than their shareholders. So I've had the displeasure of dealing with a family in Southern Ontario where I grew up that had multiple locations of McDonald's. And I can tell you, all they care about is money. It's a dysfunctional family. All they cared about is money. All they cared about was their share price, and it was not a very pleasant experience. So, I don't know. Don't let them play you like fools. Don't let this be your legacy. It doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thanks for your comments, Tom. So with that, I am going to call for submissions a second time.
Mr. Mayor, it might be a good time to read out the phone number and meeting number again one more time. And I do have maybe we'll ask you to do that. And then I see that Susan Nicholson has raised her hand and is ready to say something. But maybe let's read out the number first and see if anyone else wants to call in.
Okay, go ahead. Or do you want me to do the 800 number is what you're saying?
Yeah, sure, please, if you can, and the meeting number.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. So anybody else listening that would like to weigh in, once again, the number is 800-741-7180. And the access code or the meeting number when prompted is 2770-259-5729. When asked for the password, just enter the hashtag or the pound symbol. And once you're connected, you'll be able to hear the meeting, but will be muted. And once off mute, you'll be notified and be able to speak.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to unmute Susan Nicholson now. She's raised her hand.
Go ahead, Susan.
Hi. I just want to say it's been a pleasure to listen to everyone, and I'm so proud to live in this community. I've lived here for 68 years, which is kind of embarrassing to say, but I've been born and raised in Kimberley, and I've seen the community spirit come through thick and thin. And the passion of people here and the knowledge base, we have a beautiful community. I want to see it stay that way. And I'm in agreement with all the comments that have said, you know, let's not bring in a McDonald's and a gas station. We're phasing out fossil fuels. A gas station is not going to last. We want to see a future that's vibrant and sustainable for everyone. And I really value all the opinions that everyone has brought in. And that's all I have to say. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the comments, Susan. Anything else, Troy?
So no other callers at this time. I would just remind any callers, there's still some of the callers that have spoken already. Yeah, actually, that's fine. We'll maybe just give it a moment here if there's any other callers.
We'll give it another minute, Troy, before I call for a third and final. Speaking. Just bear with us for a moment, folks. Okay, so that was the second call for submissions, so I will make a third and final call for submissions. Once again, 1-800-741-7180 is the number to call. And the access code is 2770-259-5729. Last call for submissions. All right, with no further submissions, the public hearing for proposed bylaws 2732 and 2733 is now closed. Thank you all, both last evening and this evening, for your cooperation and patience and for your comments. Council, we have a report this evening to attend to, I should say, and it's with respect to the 2023 UBCM Convention attendee authorization. You'll recall a few weeks ago, there was conversation about which councillors, would want to attend UBCM in September, and we need to provide authorization. That doesn't necessarily mean that those are authorized need to attend if something comes up, but it does provide for authorization should you wish to do that. So the motion on the floor this evening is that Mayor McCormick, Councillor Cairns, Councillor McGuire, and Councillor Roberts be authorized to attend the 2023 UBCM convention scheduled for the 18th of the week of 18th of September. And further, that Council direct the Chief Financial Officer to prepare an amendment to the 1-year 2023-2027 5-year financial plan bylaw to increase the budget for elected officials' council travel and expenses by $8,100 from $15,900 to $24,000 funded through the general operating surplus reserve. And finally, that council direct staff to review the councilors' attendance policy and submit to council a draft for consideration. Thank you, Councillor McBain. Councillor Royer seconds. Discussion. Everybody's still all potentially heading out in September. Okay, cool. Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Okay, that would be it for tonight. Could I have a mover to adjourn?
I just have a comment to make.
Yeah,
just before
go
we
ahead,
adjourn.
Councillor
So
Cairns.
just on the subject of the Marysville Storage rezoning application, I wanted to provide the comment that I plan to bring a notice of motion requesting an impact assessment to the next council meeting agenda. So this is supported. It's to make an informed decision. Understanding the potential consequences of the rezoning need to be understood, and an impact assessment will provide that information. So I want to let everybody know that and provide my wording of my notice of motion that I will be bringing forward, so that prior to any further readings on this application, that staff bring forward a report and recommendation for council's consideration by no later than November 30th, 2023, with a proposed scope of work and cost estimate for a consultant to prepare a report assessing the following: A, the costs and benefits of rezoning lots in the Marysville industrial area from industrial, wholesale, and transportation, the M1 zone, to commercial service zone, CS1. That B, the potential economic, social, and environmental impact to the community of adding any new vehicle service stations, drive-thrus, and franchise restaurants. And C, that any other information responsive to concerns heard at the public hearings. And that after the consultant's report is completed, it be presented to council at the next scheduled council meeting, along with further recommendations on the procedure to place bylaws number 2732 and 2733 on council's agenda for further consideration. So I wanted to provide that so that it would be available for people to think about prior to our next meeting.
All right, we'll look forward to that. Thank you,
you.
Councillor Cairns. Anything further, council? Move adjournment. Councillor Dunneback, thank you very much. Councillor Royer seconds. All those in favor? Motion is carried. We're done. Thanks, folks.